Hello, and today we are going to review parallel and perpendicular equations. So let's take a look at the first learning target. I can write an equation that passes through a point and is parallel to a given equation. So we have to think and remember, if I have two lines that are parallel, what is unique about their slopes? They are the same. So let's take a look here at number 1. I know the point that is going to go through the equation that's parallel to the equation given. So I'm going to use this x and y, and then this equation, and what in particular would be the slope. So I'll highlight there the -3, and now I'm going to plug in 3 for y, leave my slope as -3 because it's the same, and then -5 in for x, and now replace it with a new y-intercept. So that 6 you can cross out, and now let's solve for b. So -3 times -5 is 15. So 3 equals 15 plus b minus 15. 3 minus 15 is -12. So b equals -12. So my final answer here would be y equals, I'm going to use the same slope, -3x minus 12. That would be the answer for number 1. Let's take a look now at number 3. Number 3, 4x minus 2y equals 8 through the point -1, -3. And again, we want to write an equation that's parallel to this equation that goes through the particular point. But this equation is not in slope-intercept form, which we want that to be in slope-intercept form so we can easily identify the slope. So let's go ahead and rearrange that to slope-intercept form. Do you remember what slope-intercept form is? Great job! Y equals mx plus b. So let's move the 4x over, and so I'll subtract it and get -2y equals -4x plus 8. Divide everything by -2 to isolate y, so y equals 2x minus 4. Now I know my slope. I'm going to highlight that. It's 2, and so I want to use that same slope now because this line is parallel when I solve for the new y-intercept. So m here equals 2, x equals -1, y equals -3. So let's plug this into the following equation. Y equals mx plus b. -3 equals m times x plus b, and so -3 equals -2 plus b, add 2. -3 plus 2 is -1 equals b. So my final answer here would be, and I'll write this up above, y equals 2x minus 1. So that one required a little bit more work, and again that's because we had to rearrange that equation to slope-intercept form. Now let's take a look at the learning target. I can write an equation that passes through a point and is perpendicular to a given equation. So perpendicular, remember, means opposite reciprocal. So that's very important that we remember to find the opposite reciprocal slope. So with number 9, let's take a look at number 9. Y equals -3x plus 6 through the point -6, 2. Before I can begin, I'm going to highlight that slope, -3, and I'm going to figure out the opposite reciprocal for that. So -3 over 1, I would flip that fraction and change the sign, so m equals 1/3. X equals -6 and y equals 2. So if I plug that into y equals mx plus b, that looks like 2 equals 1/3 times -6 plus b, and 1/3 times -6 is -2. We solve for b, so we add 2. So b equals 4. So my entire answer when I put it together is y equals my new slope, 1/3 x plus 4. That would be my final answer for number 9. Let's take a look at number 11 because number 11 gives us the equation in standard form, and we want to get to slope-intercept form. So we need to change that equation to y equals mx plus b. So let's do that by subtracting 4x from both sides. So what I get is negative 2y equals negative 4x plus 8. Divide everything by negative 2. So y equals negative 4 divided by negative 2 is 2x minus 4. So I'm going to look at that slope, and I'm going to get the opposite reciprocal. So the opposite reciprocal of positive 2 would be negative 1/2. Now I'm going to plug that into slope-intercept form, which now would be y equals mx plus b. So y is negative 3. Again, I got that from that point right there. Equals negative 1/2 x. And 4 actually is x here, plus b. So negative 3 equals negative 1/2 of 4 is negative 2. Add 2. Negative 3 plus 2 is negative 1 equals b. So now my final equation would be y equals negative 1/2 x minus 1. That would be my final answer there. Now let's take a look at the learning target. I can answer a word problem about parallel and perpendicular lines. So let's take a look at 17. Determine whether the graphs of 5x plus 2y equals 8 and y equals 2/5 x minus 7 are parallel or perpendicular, and explain. So what are we going to be looking for to figure out if these lines are related at all? You got it. We're going to look at their slopes. If their slopes are opposite reciprocals, that means they are perpendicular. For example, 1/3 and negative 3 are opposite reciprocals. These lines could also perhaps be parallel if they have the same slope, meaning they both have a slope of 4. So let's take a look. We need to rewrite this first equation into slope-intercept form so we can figure out the slope. Because we know the slope of the second equation, that is 2/5. So let's take a look at rewriting this first equation. So I'm going to write, I do not need the highlighter. 5x plus 2y equals 8. Subtract 5x and get 2y equals negative 5x plus 8. Divide everything by 2. So y equals negative 5/2 x plus 4. So what is that slope there? That slope, and I'll highlight that, is negative 5/2. So 2/5 versus negative 5/2, those are opposite reciprocals. So this would be perpendicular, and I would write here for explaining, because slopes are opposite reciprocals. Doesn't matter what the y-intercept is, unless it would be the same y-intercept, and that would actually be the same line. So we just really need to look at the slopes here, and we figured out they were opposite reciprocals. Thanks for listening. Please feel free to rewind and watch this video as many times as you would like, and best of luck completing the worksheet. Have a great day. Bye-bye.